Hi everyone, I am Zifeng from Johns Hopkins University. Today, I am more than excited to introduce our work called Follow My Flow, Unveiling Client-Side Prototype Solution Gadgets from 1 million real-world websites. This work is a collaboration with colleagues from Johns Hopkins University and Zhejiang University. And we are very honored that this paper wins the Distinguished Paper Award. We start from introducing prototype pollution and its gadgets. Prototype pollution is a vulnerability that allows attackers to inject harmful properties into JavaScript's built-in prototypical object. It is similar to pollute a root node in a tree structure so that all other JavaScript objects that inherit from the prototype are also potentially affected. But to make prototype pollution truly exploitable, the vulnerable program should also include a so-called prototype pollution gadget. A gadget is a code snippet that an attacker can exploit. It appears benign under normal conditions, but when prototype pollution occurs, the gadget will unknowingly process the polluted properties, changing the normal flow of the program towards a sensitive location, and finally leading to further severe consequences such as cross-site scripting. Now the question is, do these gadgets have impacts on real-world websites? The answer is yes. Our tool discovered a vulnerable gadget in fbevents.js, which is developed by Meta Company. When a real-world website called ASSC.com is vulnerable to prototype pollution and also includes this Meta gadget, the attacker is able to exploit the vulnerability in the gadget, leading to a cookie manipulation consequence, where the victim's cookies are manipulated by the attacker for malicious purposes. After we responsibly disclosed this vulnerability to Meta, they quickly fixed it according to our patch suggestions and awarded us a bug bounty. We also reported the prototype pollution vulnerability to ASSC.com, but they have not yet fixed it. To explain why this vulnerability happens, first, we have variable a going through two functions. One is called pack and the other is unpack. Then the value of a will eventually flow into document.cookie, which is a sync function for cookie manipulation. We list the pack function and the unpack function on the right. The exploitation is like this. First, an attacker crafts this malicious URL, which can trigger the prototype pollution vulnerability on ASSC.com through __proto__ bracket 0, and also embeds the attacker's cookie in the URL query. After the victim clicks on this URL, the prototype pollution is first triggered, so that the attacker's cookie is stored into JavaScript's prototypical object. That is, object.prototype bracket 0 equals to fp.1.attacker.cookie. Next, that attacker cookie flows into the b bracket 0 in the pack function. That is because b bracket 0 is originally undefined. But during exploitation, b bracket 0 will be replaced with the value stored in object.prototype bracket 0 due to prototype pollution. Then, the value of b bracket 0 flows to the variable e, processed by the unpack function, and finally reaches the sync document.cookie. A core challenge to detect this gadget is that there are challenging constraints in the unpack function, which is a format checking. The input should have 4 segments split by 3 dots. Without this format, the checking fails, and the unpack function will return null to variable a, failing the if condition before the sync function. So, in that case, the input will never reach the sync function, and the vulnerability cannot be discovered. Now the question is, can prior works overcome this challenge? Unfortunately, the answer is no. First, Prob the Proto, which is the only previous tool in detecting client-side gadget, cannot generate this complex payload because it uses predefined values for exploitation. Second, prior works on server-side gadgets, such as UOPF, cannot solve this constraint even if it can be ported to detect client-side gadgets. Specifically, complex string operations and dynamic fixtures of client-side JavaScript are not supported by the constraint solvers used by UOPF. To overcome the challenge, our solution is that we borrow this value from another reference website. To better explain this, we refer to the original website ASSC.com as website O, where O stands for original, and the reference website as R, where R stands for reference. In our case, website R is 3w.wise.com. So what happens is that we observe the website R is using the same library as website O, and also has the defined value with correct formatting. That is fp.1.cookie.value with 3 dots. And we observed that this value can solve the constraint and reach the sync function on website R. Then, website O inputs the same value borrowed from R and follows the program flow. This borrowed value can solve the challenging constraints just as what it did on website R. Consequently, this value can also reach the sync on website O. That is how we automatically discovered the vulnerability. Our automatic detection framework is named Gala, which stands for Gadget Locator and Analyzer. It has 3 phases. In phase 1, Gala analyzes website O, which is a website having undefined properties that can be polluted through pollution. That means the website may potentially contain an exploitable gadget. In our motivating example, this website is ASSC.com. In phase 2, Gala crawls and analyzes many other websites that use the same library and identifies website R who can provide proper values that can reach a sync. In our example, R is 3w.wise.com. Then, phase 3 is follow the flow phase, which means Gala takes the value from R and inputs it to O so that O can follow R's program flow and reach the sync. And we have a more detailed system architecture shown in this slide. First, a web crawler crawls the HTML and JavaScript files from the target website for phase 1 to analyze. Phase 1 utilizes an instrumented JavaScript runtime to extract undefined properties, which can be polluted through pollution and is potentially exploitable. Then, the website crawler crawls the HTML and JavaScript files from elsewhere. That is either from another website or from another execution in the same website. Those files are fed into phase 2 for analysis, which utilizes another instrumented JavaScript runtime to extract defined property values for those undefined properties discovered in phase 1, and uses a dynamic taint engine to dynamically analyze whether the values can reach a sync. Next, phase 3 further validates the values can flow to the sync in the target website and validates their exploitability. Finally, Gala outputs the reports for the discovered gadgets. Then we evaluate Gala on 6 research questions. They are, first, zero-day gadgets discovered by Gala. Next, zero-day end-to-end exploits discovered by Gala. 3, comparison of Gala with prior works. 4, performance of Gala. 5, ablation study of Gala. 6, defined value analysis during evaluation. I will only cover the first one in this talk, which is the zero-day gadgets discovered by Gala. Please read our paper for evaluations 2 to 6. The evaluation zero-day gadgets. Our system has discovered 133 zero-day gadgets in over 5,000 real-world websites. We further break down the gadgets by consequences, including 56 cross-site scripting gadgets, 27 cookie manipulation gadgets, where the victim's cookie could be manipulated by the attacker, and 50 URL manipulation gadgets, where the URL query strings in victim's URL requests could be manipulated. We also provide some gadget examples, such as fbevents.js, Vue 2.6, and Prettify.js gadgets. Note that the exploit codes for fbevents.js and Vue 2.6 are end-to-end exploits. To conclude, in this work, we propose Scala, which is an open-source dynamic analysis framework for client-side gadget detection. Our system has discovered 133 zero-day gadgets in over 5,000 real-world websites. We have responsibly disclosed our discovery and received a bug bounty from Meta and a CVE identifier for the vulnerability in Vue 2.6. The QR codes for our paper and GitHub repo and my contact email addresses are listed on the right. Thank you all for listening.